Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 12 of the RocknRoll Beer Guy podcast. This episode is brought to you by Audible. If you use our link, audibletrial.com/RRBG, you can get yourself a free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. They have over 180,000 titles to choose from. I'm sure you can find something. And if you sign up using our link, audibletrial.com/RRBG, not only do you get all the free benefits, but you help me out. This podcast is also brought to you by Blue Apron. If you go to rocknrollbeerguy.wordpress.com, there's a link there that says Blue Apron. When you click there, you can sign up. It's a delivery service that sends you all the ingredients you need to make a meal. It comes out to like $10 a person. It's super affordable, super convenient. I highly recommend it. And if you use that link I just gave you, you get your first 3 meals for free. That's $30 off your first order. In this episode, I talked to Steve Brooks of the band Torche. We talk about how he got his start growing up in Hialeah, his newly found appreciation for marijuana, some of his major influences, and we talk a little bit about his personal life. I hope you enjoy. Cheers. There we go.
All right.
So your first time with Skype?
Yeah, I tried it on my computer probably about a decade ago, and I deleted it after that. Yeah.
So what is it that the kids are using? Is it Snapchat? Like, I'm trying to figure out how to make this easier.
Yeah, I've never done that either. So.
Shit. Yeah, because I've had in the beginning, the first couple episodes, I had complications trying to get people on and stuff. People nobody uses Skype. I think it's like now a thing for people that want to talk to their family in Mexico or something. You know.
I don't know. I always feel weird chatting on the phone, looking at either myself or my friend on a phone. It just feels weird. I've done what's the other one? I guess it's Snap.
Like FaceTime or something?
FaceTime, yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't like doing the video either. I've only had a couple people put the video on, and I feel like I have to, do it too, just because they're just staring at nothing.
Yeah, it's distracting.
But it's always awkward, yeah.
and I can't really answer the question if I'm distracted.
Right. Well, I like this too because it's it's a free phone call, and I could just I'm recording directly to Audacity, so I could just if I want to add EQ and cut out certain things, I can do that easily.
Cool.
Yeah. So all right, welcome everyone to the RocknRoll Beer Guy podcast. I'm here with Steve Brooks of the band Torche.
What up?
What up? You're also from the band Floor. Is Floor still doing stuff? Are you guys still active?
Not really. We're on a little hiatus right now. I don't know when we'll do anything.
Gotcha.
In the near future, we haven't really discussed it. But yeah, Torche is still doing stuff.
Yeah, man. The Floor, was that your first band back in, I think, was it 92, 93?
Yeah, I was right out of high school. It took a while to actually find a drummer. So, yeah, by the time I graduated, I met someone through an ad at Y&T Records and started playing then.
Cool. Did you go to high school in Miami?
I went to high school in Hialeah.
Hialeah. Oh, geez. How was that?
It was awesome.
Do you speak Spanish fluently, or just like the bad words like everybody?
No. Well, yeah, survival words, yeah, of course. No, I don't speak Spanish, but I know little things.
That's crazy, though, growing up in Hialeah High and not speaking Spanish. There's so many Cubans. I mean, there's Cubans in your band, but...
Yeah. No, it's my family's originally from the neighborhood. I mean, my parents grew up a block away from each other in Hialeah, and my mom's sister married my uncle, who grew up across the street from my father. And then when I was a kid, we moved in 3 doors down from my dad's parents, and my aunt and uncle a little while later moved across the street from us. The whole family was basically within a block of each other.
Man.
Yeah.
So neither of them are Cuban. They're both American, like just straight up.
Yeah. Yep. I think my grandfather was from Chicago, I believe, and moved down and before my parents or my mother was born.
I mean, props to them. I mean, I'm Cuban and I couldn't live in Hialeah I lived there for about 2 years and I wanted out like right away.
Yeah, I mean, I love it in some ways because I mean, it was my home.
Right. It's
but the same with Miami, but I don't think I'll ever live there again.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how have you been since you moved to LA? For me, it's been fantastic. I don't know about you.
Oh man, I love it. Weather is awesome. Even when it's super hot, it's still awesome compared to the humidity that I grew up in.
Yeah. The heat in Miami is the bugs too. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, everything I'm interested in, it's here. You know, like, and it's such a rock and roll city. I love going around the corner and you know, hearing what's playing at the local barbershop. Like out on the street. It's great. I'm like, oh hell yeah.
Yeah, it's not reggaeton or, you know, or Pitbull at this point.
No, I mean, it's usually Morrissey or something, but it's still like better than you know, a lot of the stuff that I guess would be playing in Miami now. Yeah.
Another thing I liked about moving out of Miami, I mean, I just noticed that in the music scene specifically, like there's just a lot of cliques and everything in Miami, but it was very cliquey when it came to bands, you know, and playing local shows. We were fortunate enough to play with like every different little group of people. Like we played with, you know, the more proggy, technical, I guess. I don't know. It seemed always like if there was a show and Torche is playing, you're going to find like a roster of people that you're used to seeing, like House of Lightning or Capsule or, you know, something like that.
I think we've always, being I played in the band Floors. I mean, we've always played with just every kind of band in South Florida because there weren't that many. It wasn't like a huge rock city or anything, but a lot of like punk bands and underground, you know, underground, of course. I mean, local bands that were doing their own thing. We played with everyone basically, and it's all a part of the same community. It wasn't it wasn't cliquey. You know, I don't believe it was cliquey because, you know, we could play with, I don't know. I think that, I don't know how it was for like, it might be cliquier for metal bands, but I don't think I wasn't really a part of that scene, when Floor was, I guess that's a scene, you know, when Floor was, starting out and everything. Because I mean, our first show was with Avail. It was pretty different.
Sure, yeah, and I mean, I guess you guys as well fall outside of the cliques, but there definitely were like, you know, you just always see a lineup of bands and they're always playing together. Like that's kind of how it was in the really local scene, like independent scene. It would always be. You know, like you see some of the Fort Lauderdale bands, and if they play Miami, they're playing Miami with a bunch of Fort Lauderdale bands. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the familiarity of, you know, bands that you know and like and are friends with too.
Sure.
I guess that has a lot to do with it because, you know, we have friends that we love that we always want to play with.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah. I think that's what it comes down to, honestly. I know I'm probably painting a negative picture, but it's probably more of like we just want to play with our friends, you know, and we don't really know the crowd that other people might have. So, talking about Torche, that started out in 2004.
Yes.
More or less, yeah. And, you know, you guys were playing a particular... It was very unique for me when the first time I heard you guys play. The first thing that jumped at me was those crazy, super low bomb notes that you guys were dropping, making it an incredibly heavy sound, but... your vocals being like beautiful and melodic, you know what I mean? As opposed to what someone would expect of like hearing those guitars, they expect screaming, you know?
Wow, thanks for saying I got a beautiful voice. Wow, no one's ever said that.
No, but for sure, when you hear the dirty, crazy, like, you know, heavy, disgusting guitar tone, and then you just come out of nowhere, and it's just like beautiful thing, you know what I mean? And it creates a very unique sound for you guys that I really appreciated, you know, growing up in Miami.
Yeah, I think I guess it comes natural, you know, to me. Well, especially now, I mean that I have a little more confidence to sing than I used to, but I'd never I always liked songs where, you know, there are like hooks and melody, and I mean, I listen to noise too, and you know, I grew up in, you know, listening to metal, but I mean, it's only so much you can do vocally if it's just kind of barking all the time, you know.
For sure, yeah. I know you've spoken out about that before, just how, you know, there's just the screaming and the aggressiveness it's not something you're into in terms of your music.
I mean, well, yeah, in terms of art, I mean, there are songs where I yell the whole time, but you know, I like there to be some sort of melody to it. I mean, you know, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I hear you, and it's something that a lot of metal bands don't take into consideration. It's just like the art form of creating a hook, of creating something that the crowd wants to sing back at you. When you're creating music, you want to move someone, and that's something that I've always enjoyed as a fan, is to be able to sing back. And a lot of times when it's just growly screams, you don't have anything to attach yourself to sing back, you know?
Yeah, I mean, even if it's growly sort of screams, I mean, just have something that's sort of memorable about it. You know, like even, you know, if you listen to Death Scream Bloody Gore, I mean, he's just like screaming, but you remember the songs, you know, you're like, mutilation, you know, like, yeah. There's just something, you know, there. Why don't you pull the plug? You know, there's a sort of hook there, you know, like it's not really melodic, you know, his voice wasn't really melodic, you know, but yeah, you know, you remember it, you know. Same with, like, I don't know, old metal, and you know, there's even, you know, if you're just growling or shouting or something like that, there's still something that pulls you in.
Yeah, I think it's something. I think it has to do with the repetition. If you're going to be screaming like that, you have to do something that someone can repeat back, like you said, like the mutilation chant, you know, something like that. And also not push it to that super cheesy, like, brocore, like, I don't know, like.
Yeah. Well, right now, you know, and I'm guilty of it too, but like I hear, well, you know, pop music now, there's always like a whoa. It's fucking annoying.
Yeah. There's no word. It's just basically just like singing a note in a chanty way.
I know, but it's just everywhere. I'm like, God damn, another fucking song with whoa.
Well, I mean, there's Coheed and Cambria does that a lot too, but not in the same fashion. A part of the song where they do a melody like that the whole crowd will sing back to them, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm talking about like Britney Spears type of stuff, you know, where like I'm like, God damn, you know. I mean, I like whoa-ohs, you know.
Yeah, everything sounds like an iPhone commercial.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So yeah, talk to me a little bit about like when you started Torche. I know you used to do it in Florida a little bit too, but like the bomb notes that I was telling you, that was one of the first things that stood out to me. Like, how did you go about like making that a thing? Like when I hit the lowest possible note without breaking the strings on the guitar or making it sound too wobbly or whatever. Like,
well, it actually started with a broken string.
Okay.
When Floor started, we had it was me and Anthony, and we had this drummer Max Soren. He plays in the Goslings now, and he was playing drums with us, and I picked up a guitar and it had a top broken string on it, and me and him were like really into like Swans and that sort of just repetitious sort of, noise. And we just started grooving on it. We're like, oh shit, man, this is fucking awesome. And then, back and forth with me and Anthony, for a little while, we were adding it to a couple of songs, and then we were like, man, we should do this for like everything. Because, it was more of a percussive sort of thing. It just sounded really cool when you hit like bass drum and cymbal or, with it. And it's just like, it just sounded like a bomb. We used to start like our sets off with just, I don't know, couple minutes of like feedback, and then it was just like bam, and we'd do that for a little while. It's fucking, it was just all, it was kind of like a joke, in a lot of ways, and we had a blast, but I don't know, it was just cool, and we stuck with it, or I stuck with it with Torche too, and I can't believe I could still write songs using it.
Well, yeah, to me, I love that stuff. It kind of pushes the envelope a little bit, and this, when I would see you guys at Churchills, for example, and you guys had like full stacks, and it just fucking dropped that thing, and the whole room would shake.
That's awesome, because you like, I've always heard it just right in front of my amp, and I've never been able to, like, I can't hear it like in recordings. It doesn't. The recordings don't really. Yeah. So like, I don't know how it impacts people from the outside. Like, if that's the first thing if you've heard our band, you're like, what the fuck is that? I haven't been on the other side to like hear it in person, like the whole band. Like, if I wasn't in the band, I don't know. I'm just curious. I would like I'd like somebody else to do it, and then maybe on the outside to kind of witness it.
Sure, yeah, that's an interesting thing, man. That's kind of like the whole concept of like being at your own funeral, like there's no way for you to actually experience that, even with like a pro level recording, a live recording, like people put out those Blu-rays, and even with that, it's still not the same. You're still not getting that vibration that you get in the room.
Yeah, it's weird. Like for me, I just hear it right in front of my amp and with the band on, but I know it's happening.
I'm sure you've talked about this before, but I put it down as like a point of conversation. When you were with Juan in the band, and shortly after that, really, he kind of departed. Was that a big problem for you guys? Was there a moment where you were like, maybe we should change the name of the band, or was it always like, we're just going to keep going, fuck it?
No, there.
We don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
Yeah, it's in the past and everything.
Yeah.
There are things that you just kind of have to do in order to move forward, and I love Juan to death and everything, but it was, there were kind of like, between me, John, and Rick, there was this thing happening, with our ideas and everything, and then you have like somebody else that just doesn't.
It wasn't clicking.
It wasn't clicking. It was clicking in a lot of ways, and then living with somebody and working with them and everything, it didn't click, and it's very unfortunate. It was a hard decision, but
Were you guys were living together at the time?
No. Oh, okay. We were just touring like crazy.
Okay.
So like we just had to move forward without him.
Yeah.
And then recently we had to do that with Andrew too. It's just
yeah, you recently went through a shuffle of like the lineup, kind of. You moved John over to guitar and got
John's playing guitar now, and then we got Eric, who's kind of been in the band since almost the beginning, because he would always fill in for Rick on drums.
Nice.
When like Rick, our first European tour in 2006, Rick had a surgery, and couldn't make it, so Eric filled in on drums. And then when Rick's father passed while we were on tour, Eric filled in again, and we didn't even practice on that tour. Eric just knew everything. So he's on bass now, and it's so far it's awesome.
Yeah, man. I told you when we talked, when you guys played here with Red Fang, with him in the band playing bass. I think this is the best you guys have sounded. I think it speaks volumes to just that whole family too. Like, he's like family. He's been there from the beginning. I think, no offense to the previous guys that have been in the spot, but just it feels like this fits better for you guys, and you guys are more comfortable, and you sound great now.
Well, also like Eric and Rick and John have grown up together.
Yeah.
So there's that bond and that chemistry. They've played in so many bands together as well. So a lot of things might just work out like really well. I'm excited about it. We've been writing stuff for the next record. Right now it's kind of taking a little break because everybody needs to have a little life again, but we're still writing in the meantime.
Very cool. Yeah, I was going to ask that next. It was if you guys are writing a new album together, and I'm excited to hear what you guys come up with together with John on the guitar now and him on the bass. I think it should be cool.
Yeah, Eric's crazy on the bass. I'm excited. We've got a bunch of stuff written that we've also written a while back too. So, I mean, it's like we'll have plenty of material, hopefully, for extra stuff too.
What do you mean extra stuff?
I don't know. I mean, like we normally record a record and don't have any extra songs when the label wants, like a special,
like a deluxe
edition or something like that. Yeah, deluxe. Yeah, so we need to have something extra, or because it takes us a while to get our shit together. It'd be nice to have some stuff to put out in between.
For sure.
As well.
You guys planning on possibly going back and having Kurt Ballou, I don't know how to say his name, Ballou? Are you guys going to go back to him for mixing and mastering and have, you guys produce it yourselves, or?
We'll probably do it ourselves or have somebody out here in LA. John's been recording a lot of bands, and he's recorded most of our records, actually all of them except for Neanderthal. And he's got I think he's been working at a decent studio out here. I've seen some pics, so we're probably going to work with him, hopefully with somebody else, just to have an outside ear and kind of let, John take a little rest, but we'll see. We haven't really figured that out yet. It'll be a while. Hopefully before the end of the year we'll have it all recorded.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, Steve Evans is out here too. I don't know. He lives in Long Beach. He has a studio out there. I don't know if you guys would be interested in working with him, but he's done some of my favorite records as well.
Oh man, like we're in LA, dude. Yeah, everyone's here.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, man. Talking about the albums, is when it comes to theme, do you have a theme? Do you think about that when you're writing the lyrics and stuff like that? Or are you just going and kind of, because I felt like Neanderthal, obviously the caveman references and stuff like that, and then Restarter, I got a lot of like robotics vibe, and I guess mainly because of the video and the artwork that went with it. But is that something you think about when you write lyrics? Are you doing like a concept album, or is it just whatever?
I don't know if it's really a concept album, other than a lot of things just sort of, I don't know. I guess I have a sort of visual what the songs sound like, and then I present that to like Santos. I'm like, the like Restarter had a very like sort of sci-fi vibe to what we were writing, and that came out in my ideas visually, and like Harmonicraft was kind of outrageous, like all over the place, the cover.
Yeah, the artwork was crazy. I liked it.
And it was a pretty uplifting record, and yeah, so I think there is some sort of concept to every record, and I think it has a lot to do with, you know, how I see the music or the visuals that I sort of imagine when I'm hearing what we're writing.
Gotcha. I wanted to talk a little bit about beer, since it is a beer podcast, and you and I did the band and I, we did that, was it a release party for Restarter that we did with the Tap Takeover at Churchills?
Probably.
I think it was
I don't remember much. Did I black out that night?
You might have. We had some pretty strong beers on tap that night that were sneaky. Like, oh, that tastes really good. And it's 12% alcohol and you're just getting banged up. Plus, also, Churchills has that vibe that, like, you just want to black out when you're there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that place...
I have a few times...
It's
anyway, yeah.
Churchills has that vibe amongst that you just, it's dirty, it's gross. You just want to go party, old school punk style, and
or go home,
or if you're not
take a shower.
If you're not drinking, you just want to leave as soon as you're done. It's a weird place. It's a dump, but it's our dump. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean I've been going there for since maybe 89, 90, something like that. Yeah. When I was old enough to get in.
It's crazy that it's still up and running with all the, the shuffling of ownership and people dying around the corner all the time. It's on TV, First 48. Yeah. It really is it's an interesting spot, man. And there's not many places like that left, I don't think.
No, it's a landmark now.
Yeah. I mean, before it was CBGB's, and that's gone. So,
and it's very identifiable. Whenever you see a photo of someone playing on Churchill's stage, you know it's Churchill's.
Yeah, you see that fucking air vent thing in the background, the worm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want them to clean it up ever. I mean, I know they were talking about cleaning it up, but I'm like, no, just don't worry about it. Just protect it more in terms of the crackheads outside, but. Other than that, leave it alone.
Well, fix the bathrooms. Oh, the worst. The worst bathrooms. Especially if you're on tour and you need to take a shit.
Oh, God. There's no door.
You're like, it's just terrible, man. It's like, damn. At least have a decent bathroom for the bands.
Well, yeah, even the green room bathroom's a fucking mess, so.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to sit on that toilet, That's the thing I care about the most when I get to a venue, actually.
Let's check the toilets.
I'm like, is this going to be a nice one, or is this going to be one, without a door, or who knows,
I used to do this weird thing where I would rate bathrooms in my mind for no purpose whatsoever. I didn't have a blog or anything. It was just, I'd go to a restaurant and I'm going to go check out the bathrooms. And I'd give it points based on little things like, okay, the lighting's good, they have toilet paper, that's good, or they have, one of those turbo air hand dryers, or a Dyson blade, whatever they're called, air blades, and it was just the weirdest, dumbest thing. I don't know why I would do it. I never share that with anyone. I don't talk to anyone about it. Hey, by the way, the bathroom's there, 4.8. Out of 5.
I like reading what's on the walls.
Oh man, that's a cool part about tour, because you get a lot of that. And when you're on the road, just the crazy sayings, or for a good time, call Ben's mom or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So about beer. So do you drink a lot of craft beer? Are you a fan?
I like beer. I don't drink a whole lot of it. I guess yeah. I mean, I'm pretty simple. I don't what do I have? I work at a bar now, so, and they gave me a couple of beers, or they had some samples. What do I have here? And I haven't even tried them yet.
So at the bar, are you the beer buyer, or are you just
No. I just bar back and I work the door and security.
Nice.
But I don't really drink. When I go out, I usually have a hard drink, not like beer, or if it's beer, it's just something like Stella or something that I'm familiar with.
What's your poison of choice? What's your hard drink of choice?
My hard drink of choice, it really depends on the mood. Sometimes it's just, vodka and soda, or...
You don't like whiskey?
I like whiskey, but I've had too much of it on tour, so right now I want something that's kind of watery. Like whiskey, I don't know, it makes me not... I guess I'm not a huge fan right now.
Does it make you aggressive?
I go through little phases. I think alcohol makes me either aggressive, sad, or ridiculous. And I don't know. I don't know if I really like myself on alcohol. So I'm kind of like taking a
little break,
taking a back. Yeah, I mean, every once in a while I'll let loose, but not a heavy drinker or anything. Since I moved to California, actually, I'm a pot smoker now, which is a interesting change for me.
Were you? Did you ever smoke in Florida at all, or
no? I always had bad experiences on it, and I think it was because it was like sativa that I was always smoking, and then I discovered indica, and it works really well for me. So I don't. It's good for my anxiety, and when I go out, kind of loosens me up.
Yeah, that's awesome. A lot of people don't realize that, especially people like us that grow up in a state where it's not legal. The differences, there's a huge difference between the two different strains, that sativa and indica, and it works for some people, and different ones work for different people.
Well, I didn't know that growing up either, so I just thought I just had a bad reaction to it, and every time I do it, I'm like, oh fuck this again. It would be like an anxiety attack, it would kind of trigger it off, and now I've found something that works for me, which is great. I'm on it right now.
Nice. Yeah, it's happened to me too. I haven't figured out exactly what it is, because I usually smoke hybrids, but I was getting like weird panic attacks. Like if I'd get too stoned, I'd lose control of like my limbs or something. Like, or I'd want to get up to get water, and then all of a sudden, just like, all right, I'm gonna fall to the ground or something. Like this doesn't feel right, and I start freaking out. Like, what's happening? Am I having a heart attack? Like the stereotypical, like, call the ambulance. I'm too high.
Yeah, that's with edibles. That's why I take little baby bites with that stuff.
Oh man, yeah, the edibles just knock me on my ass. I usually have like a good...
Rick.
Well, go ahead.
Rick and Eric came by. Well, last time they were here, they had like a chocolate bar, and Rick's like, "Hey man, just take this little bite. It's like 25 milligrams, whatever." Which I have no idea. I'm still new to it. And man, I was like, damn, this isn't fun. when it kicked in, I'm like, with all the political stuff I'm seeing, like bombs going off. And,
oh man, that's not a good idea. Just you get stoned and you start overthinking all the stuff that's going on in the world. It's just not. Yeah, it's not a good feeling.
Yeah, I don't want to think too much about that stuff.
Yeah, then that's sativa, right? That mostly the heady, like thinking, overthinking.
Yeah.
Indica's more of a relaxing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I can't handle edibles as good as I think I can. It's always like, I don't really feel anything, and I'll eat some more, and then I'll end up glued to the couch, freaking out, like I'm becoming part of the couch. Yeah, and then with going back to the alcohol, like me, I've been fascinated lately with the differences that different alcohol is having in my personality as well. Like tequila is something that makes me very angry. Rum actually makes me feel great. Like I drink rum and I feel mellow. I feel like, I get the buzz obviously, but I just feel chill. And then whiskey makes me more like talkative, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I talk too much, like I should shut the fuck up. And vodka, I haven't figured it out yet. But I can't drink tequila anymore because I realize that it's like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing for me. Like once I have too much tequila, I'm getting into a fight with someone, and it's not a good thing.
I think my problem with alcohol is once I start drinking, it's hard to just stop.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, like I tend to try not to get into that, I guess, my old self with that. But it happens every once in a while. Like I still want to keep the party going, right? And until I black out and I don't remember anything, and I'm like, fuck, what the hell did I do? So, I think beer, even as gassy as beer makes me, I'll drink it sometimes if I if I want to take my time on something.
Yeah, because it's a lot less alcohol at a time, and you can have a couple and then just. That's actually a benefit, the gassiness, because you can have one or two, not be completely wasted, but want to stop because you'll say, oh, my stomach's full, I'm bloated or whatever, from the gas. Yeah. So that's an advantage that people don't think about.
I think wine's like that too. Wine gives me a little headache warning. It's like, hey, this is it. You cut off.
Yeah, man. I love wine, but I feel that I get very sleepy on it. I don't know why.
I like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's cool if you're home and you just want a glass or two to relax and pass out. But, people that go on like these wine tours in Napa Valley and stuff like that, like I don't think I can handle that. I'd probably pass out by the second winery,
I think the last time I actually did that, I did pass out in my friend's car. They were in like one of the wine tasting. I don't know what it's called, but I was like, "Man, can I go in your car and lay down?" I was like, "I'm beat."
It could be something to do with the sulfites in it. I don't know. Whatever. I'm just finding excuses. Because, it's not any different than drinking alcohol-wise in terms of content. It's, drinking like a vodka or something. And I don't get that sleepy on vodka. So going back to music and stuff like that, do you remember what your first concert was?
I think my first concert might have been either the Oak Ridge Boys or Alabama. I think it was the Oak Ridge Boys. But that was, I was a kid. I was with my parents, but my first concert that I wanted to go to, mm-hmm. and I was on my own, was Iron Maiden and Yngwie Malmsteen at Hollywood Sportatorium. Was it January 1987?
Wow!
And that was my first concert, and it was pretty badass.
That's awesome. Do you remember it vividly? Is it something that's etched in your memory?
Oh, yeah. I was like, I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm in the same room with Yngwie Malmsteen and Iron Maiden. It's an arena. And I'm like, they're really here. Oh my God, they're like gods. Yeah. They're kind of like superheroes, and they've taken their time to come to South Florida to play for us. I don't know, it was an amazing thing, and plus, I was like 12 years old, so it's my first concert. I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah, man. I remember some of my first concerts. One of the thing that would stick out the most was that weed smell to me. Like I didn't know what it was, but then when I grew up, I realized what it was, and I'm like, holy shit! Everybody was smoking inside the concert.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I remember early concerts for me. I saw some shitty bands to start. I saw some great bands. I saw Huey Lewis and the News as a kid, but I also saw like Green Day. But back when before they went full pop.
Yeah. I remember them playing Washington Square down here. Or not down. I'm in LA now, but in Miami. Yeah, which was a small little place. And Juan's old band, Adventures Struggle, played. I think they played that show with Green Day.
Wow, that's cool. Well, I was going to ask you major influences in your music, and you mentioned Iron Maiden and Yngwie being like gods to you. So would that be some of your major influences, or is there anything else?
Well, I guess in some ways, but I don't think either of those bands really had a huge influence on the bands that I've been playing in. Because they're very sort of, I don't know, I guess in some ways, but yeah, I'm kind of all over the place with what inspires me. A lot of times I write something and I'll think of whoever I think it sounds like, and the other guys will think it sounds like something completely different. So, so Rick will like come up with like a hip hop beat or something terrible to screw up my idea.
Okay.
And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, well, that's what it sounds like to me. I'm like, no, man. I'm like, you just ruined it for me. Fuck.
I do that to my girl with whatever, like if she's listening to a song and I can come up with some really bad lyrics for it, I'll just sing them over that and it'll ruin the song for her and she'll stop listening to it.
Oh, fucking asshole, man.
Oh, man. But, okay, so in terms of your style of, like, for example, that, like I was mentioning earlier, the heavy tone of the guitars and everything, and then your clean, nice singing over it. Like, is there anyone in particular that sticks out that was kind of an influence for that?
I think guitar-wise, like, the heavy stuff was definitely the Melvins. You know, when I heard the Melvins, I was like, man, I want to sound like that, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of other things like Dinosaur Jr. and, you know, as far as all the sort of swirly stuff, you know, My Bloody Valentine. And, I mean, a lot of that stuff was a huge influence. And, you know, to this day, it's still, you know, like, inspires songs and everything. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Black Sabbath, of course, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely hear that. Some early Black Sabbath in your earlier songs.
Yeah, I like that sort of just organic crackle from the amps. And we go crazy with the pedals and everything, but I love that sort of like old Sabbath, like you just hear the amp, like, you know, it's like Van Halen too, you know, it's not like being compressed through all these crazy pedals or anything.
Sure, yeah. Like you can hear the difference between a tube amp and something that's like just, you know, Axe Effect or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, I like them both, you know. I'm thinking of like, you know, Sabbath. I was like, God damn, so fucking heavy.
Yeah, because it's a natural, like, I guess now it's not natural because it's amplified and everything, but it's a more organic heaviness than like forcing it with pedals, you know, or like maybe like a down tune pedal or something like that.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I dig everything, but well, not everything, but you know, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. All right,
yeah,
cool.
For sure. Let me ask you, in terms of writing now, with the new stuff you're writing, how many albums are you in? You're like, with Torche, you're 5 albums?
Let's see. We're 4 albums, and we have a bunch of EPs, which were almost albums. Like the In Return EP could have been an album, but we just wanted to record what we had and put something new.
I consider In Return an album in my mind. Yeah.
Songs for Singles too would have been an album if the other songs were working for us. I think we might end up releasing them at some point anyway. But I mean, they were on like a few, like I think a track here and there was like on the Decibel Flexi released them, and I think Andy from Robotic Empire put one of them out. But yeah, we weren't completely happy with them, so we made that an EP. It was almost an album.
Well, so the point I was trying to bring up is, now that you're at this point where you got like 4 albums and you're writing a new one and you've got all these other songs that you've written, when it comes to the writing process, do you feel like you have to kind of adhere to a certain thing? Are you keeping anything in mind? Like, okay, well, we can't go and do like a punk song, you know what I mean? Like, is there anything like that going on? Like, do you restrict your sound?
No, we don't restrict it, but we do tend to write songs that were like, well, that's kind of that song from that last album, but it's not that song. It's just reminds us of that song, and we try to go, well, with what we've been writing lately, try to kind of explore a little more, try different things, and I don't know, just try not to write the same songs over.
So that would be your Restraint, is kind of just, I don't know, just trying not to repeat.
I guess the Restraint would be not repeating ourselves but it still sounds like us. We have an identity, but we're just trying to move forward.
Yeah, gotcha.
And Eric's writing stuff too, so that's a good thing. We're getting another voice in the band.
Yeah, that's good. That's a whole new, it's a fresh take on your music, I would say.
Yeah.
So as with every guest, I ask people for questions or anything that they want to ask the guests that are coming up. The one thing that people brought up, I have a lot of friends that are in the homosexual community and everything, so they were curious were you always aware, were you always openly gay with your family? Was it something that you found out later in life? Was that a struggle at all for you?
Well, I was a teenager. I was in denial.
Okay.
And I think after I graduated from high school, I went to a shrink to it was the first time I ever told anybody, and he had great advice, and then from then on, I sort of slowly told people in my family and everybody, and everything was cool. I had a great experience. People, were supportive, and I didn't lose anybody, which was great.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I mean, I knew it when I was, when you go through not period, like puberty and stuff. When you are discovering attraction. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of didn't want to be the gay guy. So that that screwed me up as a kid because everything you saw was negative, and I grew up in the 80s where it was AIDS and there was nothing
positive.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, so you basically, and you don't have any friends, and the people that are around you are always making fun of gays. So it was kind of tough for me to admit it and to kind of feel comfortable with it without keeping it a secret or something like that, which is ridiculous, I think. But
but it was mostly society based for you, because I mean, a lot of people go through the struggle with their parents, overly macho father that you can't be gay because that's not my boy.
Well, yeah, I mean,
what I mean.
That's what happened to my first boyfriend. I mean, I was with him, and when his mother found out, his father, who lived in Puerto Rico, was going to basically have him go down to Puerto Rico to fix the problem,
yeah,
which is insane. And then I felt it was like I was at fault for making their son gay. I'm like, no, your son hit on me. But I mean, this was early 90s and stuff, so
yeah.
But and I have a lot of friends that have lost their families and were kicked out and had a horrible time with it, and I mean, that still happens today. I was lucky, and
yeah, for sure.
But I don't know. What was the question again?
No, it was people were just asking if you had a struggle with it, or if it was something that you always knew, if something that you realized later in life. So you already answered all that.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So I answered the question. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was either be comfortable with who I am and what I am, and or I was going to end it. What choice do I have? There's nothing I can't change. I can't change that part of myself.
Sure. Yeah, my little
can't change who you. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say no. Just my little brother came out a couple years back, and he was struggling with it. His struggle was almost like visually, you could see the struggle because he ended up getting really big really overweight, like bigger than me. I'm a big guy, and he was bigger than me, and we couldn't figure out what it was, and I had finally had a talk with him. I'm like, talk to me. Like, what's the problem? Because he would cry at random, and I always had a suspicion. I was like, talk to me. Like, what is it? And we had a conversation, and shortly after we talked, he realized, he's gay, and he came out and dropped all the weight almost instantly. It was insane. He'd lost like 100 pounds. It was beautiful,
Well, I mean, yeah, for anyone, I mean, you should never. I mean, this is an ongoing issue still to this day. Mm-hmm. But why can't people just be happy? Just like let other people be happy, if no one is hurting anyone, these are consenting adults. I don't give a shit what they do as long as they're living their life and and they're not hurting anyone. But yeah, I mean, for everything that I heard growing up, I think it's sad that it's still happening today. But yeah, I mean, we all struggle. I think most of us struggled with something, but we come out on top.
Cool, man. So would you suggest, because you mentioned that you saw a psychologist or psychiatrist, would you suggest that to people? I mean, obviously me having that conversation with my brother worked out, and I think that would be the easiest solution. Just fucking talk to your family members and your friends about it, but it's not easy for people. So,
well, I think for me it was just being able to talk to somebody that I didn't know and that wouldn't judge me, mm-hmm. And that would give me proper advice. And yeah, that helped me a great deal. I mean, it changed my life really, because it was just one of those things. You can't really talk to somebody that and it's nice to be able to talk to somebody that you don't know and get a sort of honest outlook.
Yeah, and I feel that we're definitely moving in the right direction. It's still a problem, but it's definitely better than it was in the 80s, for example, or the 90s.
Yeah.
But I don't want to talk about it because we had pre-agreed to not talk about politics. But yeah, we're dealing with that nonsense in the White House right now. So yeah, it's
Yep, we know it.
Yeah. So, but I think that's all gonna change. I hope.
I mean, you can't. I mean, change is the only constant. You know, like you can't. You can't stop time. It's just not going to happen. So,
right.
Just keep moving forward. Even a couple of steps back, we're still moving forward.
Yeah, and I think it's important to reduce the number of people that, like, even racism and stuff. It's very important to reduce that number of people that have hate in their lives. But one thing I always tell people, you can't get rid of it all the way. It's that's not how life works. Like, there's always going to be a day and night here. There's always going to be love and hate. You're going to have a little bit of it. It's a matter of how you take it, how you handle it, how those people, like in the hate aspect, how they address it, and show it. So, but we need to have a balance. We can't just go everybody happy-go-lucky, love all the time. That's not going to work either.
Yeah. Well, knowledge is power, and most people who are racist and bigoted aren't very knowledgeable. So,
right.
As long as we educate ourselves, we can, we can put them in their place, I guess.
Sure.
I guess.
Yeah. It's a matter of, like, look, you're allowed to not like a certain group of people. Just don't be a dick about it. Don't yell at them. Don't be violent towards them. Just keep that shit to yourself, man. Nobody needs to hear it. I'm not telling you not to hate. That's your problem. But if you're gonna hate, just keep it to yourself.
Yeah, live and let live.
Live and let live. Right.
I mean, I'm going to hell. Don't worry about it.
I'll see you there. Yes.
No, I hope not. I don't want to go where they're going.
No.
Gonna ruin my fucking party.
No, they'll all go to. No, I'm not gonna get into it. Oh shit, man. Well, cool, dude. It's been about an hour. I'm gonna wrap this up. Do you want to plug anything? Social media? Do you want people to follow you?
If they want, I'm Long Distance Man on Instagram.
Am I safe to assume that is a sexual reference?
No. It's actually a Guided by Voices song.
Oh, okay.
He's a long distance man. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it refers to. It's a song.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised coming from you. You have, some pretty sexually explicit songs in Torche albums. So.
I don't know if they're not really sexually explicit. I don't think.
Don't you have a song called Sex Slave or something like that?
No. We had a song called Fuck Addict, but that
Fuck Addict.
Yeah, but Juan actually came up with that title.
Okay.
No. Everything I write, it's pretty vague.
Well,
I'm not like overly sexual, so.
I see.
Only with my guitar.
All right, so Long Distance Man on Instagram, Torche Band, Torche_band, or how does that go
Torche
for the band?
Music or Torche Band? I'm not sure. Sorry. I'm really bad at this.
Do you guys have somebody that handles the band's social media, or is that you do that on your own?
I think we all can log in and kind of post something on Facebook, but I don't really know how. I think I'm not really sure who. It might be Relapse. Relapse is plugged in there, so they probably post a lot on social media. I don't think
that's what I'm
sure Rick does too every once in a while, but we tend to be pretty slack about that. We probably need somebody take care of things for us because we're kind of scatterbrained.
Yeah, it is at Torche_band. That's the Instagram for the band.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
I just found it right now. So yeah, follow the band. I know you guys are writing. You said possibly by the end of the year. That'd be cool. Any shows coming up?
We're taking a break right now, but I think we're playing Hopscotch this year.
Cool.
And that's in North Carolina, and that's the only offer we've gotten, I believe. And we might do something around that. But yeah, I mean, we're not doing any like big tours or anything until we have another record out.
Cool. Well, all right, man. Thank you for doing this. Thanks for taking time out of your day to talk to me. And yeah, hopefully we can hang out soon. I mean, we're in LA now. We should hang out.
Yeah, dude. Let's go surf.
Oh no, I do not surf.
Yeah, I'm afraid of the ocean. So.
Oh, dude, me too. I have this irrational fear. Like I don't belong in there, man. I do not belong in the ocean. I honestly think a lot of the people talk about aliens all the time. I think the ocean is full of aliens.
Oh yeah, it's our outer space, man. We can't live there.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like if aliens are going to crash land on this planet, it's because they're going to land in the water. The planet is 75% water.
Dude, they're already here, man.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Yeah, bruh.
Oh shit! But yeah, let's hang
Cali.
out. Next time you're doing a DJ set or something, I know you've been doing those.
I did a DJ set at Footsie's one night. It was so loud, man. It was brutal.
Cool, dude.
I'll let you know, man.
Let me know.
Let's hang out.
All right, brother. Cheers.
All right, dude.
Later.
Talk to you soon. Bye.